morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guest. I, as always, am your host, Alpha Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. And today, apparently, body cams are bad. We've fought for years to hold police accountable, and now, according to Democrats, body cameras are not good somehow. We'll get into that. We'll get into more of the Iran war, and maybe in some gaming news, we'll see people freaking out over Highguard being canceled. I apologize for my little horse. I was playing Resident Evil Requiem last night. Oh god, I can't even do it. As Stewie, and apparently I can't speak this morning, so apologies for that. But we'll get through it. Let's get into it.
The issue of body cameras. Her mother.
What the hell? Hold on. What? Hold on. I'll never understand this shit. No matter how many times I disable the speakers on my monitors, they just keep popping back up. Anyway, continuing.
Mother has been advocating for that.
Same number of interactions and cases of police brutality, which means you were fed a glanced at it. I guess we just sort of skimmed past it. But then I spent a little more time on this subject. This was a huge point of discussion in 2015, I would say. Now, let me set the stage. Democrats, you know, they're known for flipping on many issues. That's kind of their thing. Well, the latest one that they flipped.
Republicans do it too. I'm saying. Democrats used to be the free speech people. It's allegedly now the Republicans. But free speech only seems to be what people who aren't necessarily holding the stronghold on the public discourse. It seems to be their position. So I'll just throw that in there. If Republicans ever get the majority of public discourse as far as having the authority over what's said and what's not, I'm sure it'll switch back. But for now, yeah.
Done. And they were screeching about for a very long time. You guessed it. Police body cams.
I will say it does make for great YouTube content.
No, Mama's on the phone. I don't care.
Here's the thing. You may not realize there's an active movement, an active push to try and do away with the body cams that they said would solve the problem because of police brutality, namely against black people. It was open season of flip-flop. It's time for then and now.
And the reason I love these segments, and these are some of the ones from Crowder that I try to put on as much as I can, is just because while people say the internet never forgets, that's really pertaining to individuals necessarily. When it comes to the long-term deeds or acts of a political party, the opposition never forgets, but the people themselves do seem to. At least as far as if you're a Democrat, you forget what y'all did 5, even 10 years ago. Same thing with Republicans. You forget the way that things were before the Trump days. Honestly, I think most people have forgotten what it's like before the Trump days. I haven't. And honestly, a lot of this discourse started in Obama's second term, but Trump really poured gas on it. Not even really some, well, anyway, that's not neither here nor there. We'll move on.
Those Armenians can put together some guitar riffs.
They can.
Let's go first to then.
Yeah, you got it. No, you got it.
I did. That's why I did it generally with my thumbs. So, if you guys have forgotten, they were arguing that it was open season on black people for a very long time, and one of the solutions they pushed for it, I mean, vigorously, Democrats argued for, don't let them forget it, hold them accountable, body cameras.
We should make sure every police department in the country has
This is only 11 short years ago.
record interactions between officers on patrol and suspects. That will improve transparency and accountability. It will help protect good people on both sides of the lens.
And we agreed, actually.
Yeah, and that was actually a very good point by Hillary Clinton. Yes, body cameras protect people on both sides of the lens.
That's because of social media, video cameras, and so forth, that there are problems and challenges when it comes to how policing and our laws are applied in certain communities. The Department of Justice has just announced a grant program for those jurisdictions that want to purchase body cameras.
The issue of body cameras. Her mother has been advocating for that because, of course, those 3 police officers were not wearing body cameras. To your point, in my experience, when I was Attorney General of California, I believe I was the first state to require our agents to wear body cameras and keep them on because it's about transparency.
Because of body cameras and other technology, we are seeing
That's Spartacus right there. Cory Booker.
people, handcuff people in the case of the tragic murder of Tyree Nichols.
Can I say the only interesting thing about Cory Booker is somehow he landed Rosario Dawson for a little bit, and then the girl he dated right after that resembled Rosario Dawson. That's the only interesting thing about this person. That, and he refers to himself as Spartacus, but I've never heard anyone else refer to him as that, at least not without a smirk.
We're seeing things that do not comport with our national standards and expectations.
Car videos have been crucial when you talk about black people, especially being able to get justice in police brutality
Justice.
cases. I have been asked, Natasha,
Oh my God.
the difference between Rodney King's beating in the early 1980s and George Floyd.
Sounds like
And my answer
Jasmine
has
Crockett
always
talking.
been the quality of the iPhone video.
Well, there was no iPhone video, so I think you mean the fact that there is iPhone video. But okay, fine. The point remains. Here's the thing, and we're just going to go straight to the overlay. The largest study to this date that's been conducted, it concluded, and here's we're saying the same thing. It concluded that there was no statistically significant effect on decreasing police use of force, meaning body cams. So, the left, and we'll get to the now in a little bit. The left is saying, well, see, it's actually it hasn't helped. So, that means that it hasn't worked. I would say it hasn't changed the statistics, which means it's worked perfectly. Which means that with the cameras on, again, how do you want to interpret this data? Cameras off, cameras on, you still get the same number of interactions and cases of police brutality. Which means you were fed a lie. You were fed a myth. And if you don't believe that, then I would request that you take a look at what the body cameras have shown us. Now remember, you were told you were going to see peaceful, gentle giants, and police just said, "Who's that, Melanin?" That's what you were told you were going to see. Instead, you saw this, which is why now Democrats are pushing to do away with them.
Oh God, this one was crazy.
Get down on the ground.
Nah, this one was crazy. This dude ran like a quarter mile
We blurred everything out, but
down the road and then took them on a high-speed chase across state lines, I think from Tennessee to North Carolina or somewhere around there. And then, unfortunately, the guy died by a lot of gunshots. But, yeah, that dude had like a psychological breakdown or something.
people do get, they assume room temperature in these because they're assaulting police officers.
Yo, yeah, that's a good shot. Oh, this girl.
If there were no body cams, this would have warranted a march.
They tried.
Yeah, they did.
With body cam.
Well,
Damn.
I didn't know he had time release bullets.
And some people will say, yeah, that's a lot of shots, but whether it be drugs, adrenaline, or any other chemical produced by your body or otherwise, sometimes that's what it takes. And it sounds, when you hear someone say anything more than a handful of shots, especially given on the situation, it sounds crazy until body cameras became a thing. And then you're just like, damn, they still moving after that many shots? And then they just plump down because their body remembers that they're dead.
No body cam. White officer shoots black lady
with elephant gun.
It's like the ghost in the fatness.
All right, that's mean.
She came at me with a knife. What the hell did you expect me to do?
Hey, what's going on?
Yo, this situation.
Yeah, we were banned on YouTube for covering.
I remember this one.
Why, because of the crotch shot?
I said good shoot.
So on that one black girl was chasing another black girl around with a knife. Apparently a knife that was given to her by that guy, by the dad that said, "You shot my baby." And then she came at the cop. And he shot her. He was the only person there. What'd you expect to happen? Look, I don't care what race you are. I don't care what gender, identity, sexuality, whatever. In that situation, I don't know why I'm pointing at things because you can't see me, but in that situation, previous to this little scene right here, if that happens, 100% justified shoot. Is it sad? Yes. But what's also sad is that was at a family gathering. I mean, my family's fucked up. I've seen one fight at any of my family's gathering. Any physical fights. Mostly because everyone else knew better. I mean, it's out in the middle of the country. But, yeah.
Yeah, that dad gave the baby the knife right before that.
Oh, there you go. Thank God for body cam.
See, and even with body cameras, you gotta freeze frame these things because the body camera's not great quality, but it is something. Like this shit. That big fat turd, if he had fallen on that cop's head right there. Oh, I thought that was a white dude. I don't know, man. It was the way this light was shining.
Yo, chill, yo. Don't just hit me with the car, dude. Stop. Shut the car off. Walk right there, please. Well, hey.
Gentle giant.
It's like my wife trying to parallel park.
Jesus. Yo, I didn't even see what happened there, but...
Oh, you broke the plant, yo.
How much you want to bet Mike Brown footed?
Hold on.
Gentle giant.
It's like my wife trying to parallel park. Oh, you broke the plant, yo.
How much you want to bet Mike Brown footage would have been worse?
He got shot and he's still moving. See? His legs might not work, but...
So, study says we've seen no change. There you have. You can believe your lying eyes and ears and go, well, oh, maybe it's because this is the kind of behavior that was being encountered for a very long time. But the left says, no, it must be, again, because of white supremacy or patriarchy.
I'll tell you what it did to this body cam. It broke the biggest lie, the biggest myth in the world that black people are afraid of cops.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, my God. How many? That
could have fooled me.
My buddy was a cop at 30, and he goes, that is a... And
yeah.
Oh, they look frightened, don't they? Shut the car up. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, what is it driving while black? I got my hands at 10 and 2, officer. Here's my identification.
Yeah.
Oh, no, instead you were trying to run him over, which brings us to now. Those on the left are saying, you know what, guys? We should do away with body cams.
Yeah.
Body cams, whether they're worn by ICE or Border Patrol or your local police, are a popular solution to officer brutality against civilians because they're a convenient way to make it look like accountability is happening without said accountability ever actually being borne out by the data. Body-worn cameras were first introduced to police not as a form of accountability and reform, but instead major tech companies introduced them as a convenient way to expand their surveillance capacity.
Everybody who studied...
What? Look, I can understand you saying street cameras are surveillance from the state, but body cameras, look, there are already so many security cameras, even without being as many as are in places like the UK. Where their CCTV cameras are literally everywhere, like in the movies. For any of those total authoritarian future whatever movies, that's what it's like in the UK. Even though with all those cameras, they don't use anything. At least from what I've told by my British friends. But my British friends are also dicks, so they might be feeding me bad info. But I won't say your name, but I apologize. I love you, bub. But no, it is not part of. I mean, maybe you could argue, yes, but that is a side effect. But for anything, like for nuclear energy, you also have waste or the possibility for using it for a bomb. But you have that with just about anything. A lot of things have very good things, like all the good things you can do with AI versus the bad things, which often are very much worse. Like, or even something softer where, wind turbines, at least as they exist now, a worthy endeavor. Sure. Especially in places where you can't get the lines run out for whatever reason. A lot of solid rock here in Texas. Hey, good morning, Shapeshifter. Today, we're just talking about body cams and how people are saying that they're bad now. And then we're going to get into some more of the Iran war and maybe even get into the Highguard situation. But I'm talking way too much, so we might not get there.
These questions understands that body cameras are not a reform to any form of police violence. There has been overwhelming research. There's so much research and overwhelming consensus on this question that even the federal government's own position for a decade or more has been that body cameras do not reduce police violence.
Well, why is that?
But you have to weigh that against what causes the violence. Is it the police themselves? In some cases, of course, yes, police are people just like anybody else, and they get violent. But anybody who was on the line on possibly doing some violence or letting that caveman DNA creep up and control you, might think twice about it now that they know that they're being watched from multiple angles, depending on how many cops are on scene.
Is that body cameras lead to a decrease in the perceived culpability, intentionality, and guilt or punishment worthiness of the police officers involved, basically.
Because it exonerates them. I get men need to wear body cams. Oh, no, his title is more about the Black Lives Matter movement, because a lot of this came about, body cams became more prominent because of said Black Lives Matter movement. And now we've got a lot of fun YouTube videos, and it hasn't really done what they were hoping it was going to do, I guess. But yeah.
The body camera wearer.
But also what you said.
As less agentic because he is not seen.
Well, because he's not seen.
If we're missing something, we can't
he's
describe
making
any
funny
images.
faces at him.
The officer's not.
The
That's
only
the
time
problem.
we see
Okay.
the officer in that video is in the reflection of him in the screen. So what they find is the more that you...
But a lot of times there's multiple officers on the scene, and a lot of time that's why there's multiple officers on the scene, so you can get multiple camera angles to where you can see all the other cops, and you can put 2 and 2 together. Just so you know, that's 4.
don't see the officer, the more that people blame the officer less.
Okay. So
also, when you see things, when you see what happened, the officer gets blamed less. Okay. Unless somebody physically touches you, okay, no matter what they say or do or faces they make. Other than that, look, if you're worried about the police saying something and then that causing a violent reaction, you could still hear that shit. Mouthing words, is that what we're saying? We're saying that the cops are possibly mouthing words or making gestures behind the camera to evoke a violent reaction. I'm sure that is the case sometimes, but more often than not, more than likely not.
So if you don't see the officer, the body cams don't work.
Yes, I realize that was redundant.
The one proposed was to bag tag and body cam all black people. That seems to be the, yeah, there you go. It's just like... And,
what the fuck?
If you are not a Rumble Premium member, that's the only...
What happened to Shia LaBeouf? Is it about him having some crazy conversation about religion recently, or did something else happen?
The only reason we're allowed to do any of this.
I was thinking about doing that on maybe a Saturday show.
You can join for $99 a year, or try it for $9 a month. You get this wonderful hand-hatched mug. You get 100% more show, as well as everything. And the mediocre white boys here, as Jasmine Crockett puts it. But you know what, Applejack? Josh actually tells me that you're not a big fan of body cams.
No.
No?
Today's unsuspecting guest, Applejack. Come with me. Smile, Applejack! You body cam!
Oh. Jesus.
No, actually, I just had to skim past in the segment because we were running late, but just because I told you that I would show you everything. Conservatives were actually on board with it. This is one of those few issues, body cams, where the left, Democrats were saying, we need body cams. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Because we know how this is going to go. And in case you don't remember that, here's just a brief montage. Myself included. I was always fine with it. We had common ground on that.
Obviously, if you had 6 officers with 6 different police cameras, 6 different angles, we would know exactly what happened as much as possible. I think what happens is we should always have as much evidence from the scene as possible.
Absolutely.
Cameras provides us the opportunity to gather that information real time and to store it, to use it in criminal investigations.
I've supported legislation to allow body cameras. I've been to Ferguson. I've been trying to look for solutions to our criminal justice problem.
Love that guy for the most part.
Of this tape, as it relates to the narrative, were never released. When you have Keith Ellison, who never let the public know about this, they had access to this tape this entire time, and it took someone from the UK to videotape their screen like it was Jerry Seinfeld with Death Blow. If they'd have released this tape that you're about to watch, there never would have been riots. That's why the tape was never released. And you can go back to 2013, 2014, 2015. So, hey, when people say common ground, oh, we found common ground. Oh, that's right. The left wants to change the game, move the goalposts. They don't like the results. Notice, by the way, it was a bunch of... Do it again, I can do better.
All right, hold on. Here we go.
Oh yeah, the thing where he said he was that thing that Shia LaBeouf said about gay people. Yeah, no, that was in the same interview. I don't know. I only saw clips of it, but I was thinking about watching it for this weekend. Just celebrities are crazy, especially those that were famous when they were kids. Especially people who were natural in front of the camera as people like Shia LaBeouf was originally. But yeah, the whole Jim Carrey thing, I don't think that was him. I think I have to fact check this, but I think that Jim Carrey that we saw at whatever that was turned out to be a body double or something. But again, you hear all kinds of things online. Who's to say what's true or not? I haven't really looked into it that much. I just happened to, scroll past it.
I don't know if it was better.
Oh, okay. They go, oh, no, we don't want to do body cams. I just how do you interpret that data as anything other than, yeah, what you guys said we would see, we saw the opposite. And that's why you don't like it. Otherwise, explain your 180. Well, I thought we don't see the cops enough. Like, we're seeing GoldenEye, and we were hoping it was a side scroller. Just shut up. Do you guys ever face accountability for anything? How about the Green New Deal? Oh, now you need data centers? We're going to innovate our way out of climate change? Ha! Who's been saying that forever? Dummies.
No, and I am too, because Jim Carrey has been outspoken against Hollywood and the whole machine there, especially since the Will Smith slap. But anyway, getting over here to Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom saying $25 minimum wage, universal access to healthcare, progressive tax system, the top university system in the country. Fox News hates California because of our success. And Caleb Hammer, someone who leans a little left like myself, has commented, add the highest unemployment rate of any state in the country. Gavin Newsom, I'd love to look through your books of California on financial audit if you're down, the good and the bad. Which, I'm going to follow this. I hope it happens. And then apparently there's something called Gork on X that's supposed to be like a funny version of Grok. I love that. But anyway, moving on. We're going to try to get through this next one.
If the conflict lasts days or weeks, 76% approval as far as people's support for military action. Not everything needs to be compared to Iraq because it's very often the least legitimate comparison. But I will stake my claim right here, 3 months. Okay, 3 months. At 3 months in of this war, if things have not been scaled back, the primary military operations, you'll always have some small units, then guess what? People saying, this is why we'll lose the midterms. Okay, it doesn't mean that I think the guy should be impeached, but I will grant that to you. I don't think this is going to go beyond 3 months. I think it's going to be short. I think it's going to be effective. And I really hope for the sake of the country that I'm right. Because even though that shouldn't be the required timeline, it is as far as public support as we go into midterms. 3 months. You guys let me know if that's reasonable. You can comment below. The widespread narrative out there right now, if you believe this, you've been propagandized a little bit. This war is going to sink President Trump. I don't even want to say war. This military action intervention is going to sink President Trump. It is a foregone conclusion. That's what you're told.
Bush had his Iraq war. Trump now has his Iran war.
Donald Trump's war with Iran is already wildly unpopular with the American people.
And Republicans are already facing a very difficult election cycle, and now it seems like, at least in the short term, they're all going to be defending something that is unpopular and not really fully understood by the American public.
When Trump made a promise, no more foreign entanglements. J.D. Vance ran on this. Trump's not going to get into war specifically on Iran. In fact, no, we're going to be...
That's not true.
Again, goes to the heart of a promise he made to his people.
No.
He never made that promise. He never said no more new wars. He said he hasn't caused any and that he has made a lot of peace treaties. But he's always been heavy against Iran. We showed you yesterday, or I did. There's only one of us here.
No, that's not true. That's not true. And they just throw out this term forever wars, hoping that you don't do a little bit of fact checking. Donald Trump, we ran that video yesterday. 1980 talked about intervention with Iraq. Reiterated it 2004, 2008. They try and pull a bait and switch and go, he was saying we'd be great negotiators. Let me ask you this. Can you negotiate with psychopaths if you are not willing to go to use of force? How do you enforce it at a certain point when you're dealing with lunatics? So part of the negotiation is...
Speaking of lunatics, you remember how when they asked Kamala Harris how she would deal with these situations, she would say, I would say, no. What? That hasn't even worked in your state.
This option has to be on the table. Now,
how is this not negotiation also?
Right.
I mean, they're still going to have a regime. If they still have their own government, they're still governing their own, it's still Iran, then, I mean, this is a negotiation. Hey, we killed the other guy that was in charge. Now you're in charge. Do what we say. Or... Yeah,
well, we just keep killing their guys, so that's the most fun part. It's like, we present to you the newest, and he's gone. All right, next one. So, generally, I'll tell you this. Americans, they're split. They're not thrilled about it. But, and I would say this to those on the right who are doom and gloom, overall it's 44%. But with Republicans, it's 85%. Democrats, 10%. That's what throws it off. So, if you are a conservative, you are with Republicans, it's 85%. Democrats, 10%. That's what throws.
Okay. And the really sad part about this is on a lot of these things that are so heavily skewed in this way, you don't know if it's people actually loving or hating something or if it's just glazing or hating Donald Trump because he's on your side or not on your side. It's really hard to tell anymore, as divided as everything is. No one really just has opinions because they do. It's always how you want to be seen, rather.
Throws it off.
Me personally,
If you are
I don't really give a fuck.
If you are a nationalist, if you are a Trump voter, just know that you are out of step with 85% of the voting base with President Trump, and you are in line with Ro Khanna and Elizabeth Warren and the left. It doesn't mean that the left is always wrong about everything. It just means that that's who you've decided to link arms with. I want to be really clear about that. So examine it pretty thoroughly, because you do have to ask, why? Where else has the left been right? Were they in tremendous support or disapproval of a given policy that you would say, yeah, that makes sense? Abortion, LGBTQ, ICE, the border, taxes, Second Amendment, First Amendment. Name me one other issue where you would have 90 to 80% of Democrats in support or against, where you would be in line with. I can't think of one. And I'm not saying that that means or it determines what is right. I do think it's a pretty important indicator. Here's the thing that people aren't telling you. And this matters because we've had a lot of, we've been involved with a lot of military interventions that aren't just Iraq. The polls change dramatically. The support changes dramatically when you take this poll, when the survey takes into account duration of conflict.
They don't necessarily think this is going to be a short conflict. Look at this. A lot of people think it might take months. Some people think it might take years, and there are a lot who are not sure. Now, the reason that is important is if you think it's going to be a long conflict, months, even years, look at how the numbers tilt toward disapproval of it overall.
They just skim past that. No, but hold on a second. Look at approval. If the conflict lasts days or weeks, 76% approval.
And that's the thing. As long as this doesn't last longer than that, most people are okay with it. They understand these things happen. It's the prolonged, of course, and that's where most people are focusing on. But if this is days and weeks, it's already been days, we're approaching weeks. Honestly, I think weeks for me is maybe less than 3 months. I could possibly go a little further than that, but anything more than 3 months, and I know that's considered technically months, because weeks is less than a month, of course. But realistically, come on. Years, nobody wants years. And as far as not being sure when it ends, I guess this is what that means. I can definitely see that being heavily skewed towards disapprove, or if that's what this means, who the hell knows with the way people do their polling these days.
Massive. Now, let's be clear. That has been the stated goal of this administration. If they don't achieve that goal, it means there's a miscalculation. And I would say that was a strategic mistake. But they've been pretty clear that their goal is for this to be swift and it's to be short. Historically, as opposed to Iraq, when that is the case, campaigns militarily are unbelievably popular. As a matter of fact, you seldom find this kind of unifying data anywhere else. Let me give you some examples. Grenada, 63%, it was 51 days. Panama, 77% support, it was 55 days. Desert Storm, 77% support, 42 days. The Yugoslavia bombing, 62%, it was 78 days. And just so you know, while Iraq was going on, in the early days, it had 71% approval, while people were under the impression that it would be short, like those many other examples that I listed.
Right.
Not all of them are Iraq. Iraq is kind of an outlier, just like Vietnam, which is why it's often a study. It's something that you separate. It's an outlier.
Yeah. By the way, one quick thing about all of those, the media was reporting those patriotic.
And honestly, Iraq wasn't anywhere near as long as Afghanistan as far as... I mean, I know there was multiple conflicts, but... at least as far as the one that kicked off after bin Laden. Ugh.
Not positively, patriotically. Right. American interest. They were actually being honest about their reporting, calling balls and strikes to a much larger degree than we see today.
Right.
It's very obvious what the media is saying today, just to damage Donald Trump.
You could even look at the first military action in Iran.
Yeah.
People telling you World War III was overwhelming support when people saw what was accomplished. You can look at what happened in Venezuela. These things do matter when people are trying to tell you all is lost, it's all done for. because it's another never-ending war. The strongest evidence that we have, nothing is a guarantee, is that this will not be a very long-term war. And I will tell you, I would not support a long-term war. If it looks like Venezuela, if it looks like the first uranium enrichment facility strike in Iran, if it looks like, has this been called, is it Operation Fury?
Epic Fury.
Epic Fury. That kind of tells you Epic Fury means hellfire, one big shot.
Hey, thanks for the follow.
I'm going to trust the people who I'm in line with 90% of the time, as opposed to being in line with 90% of Democrats. That is the deduction that I kind of have to make because there is some incomplete information out there. We don't know how long this is going to go on. But in the interim, as long as this is days and weeks, what's the downside to being in line with the general American public and to not giving the left fodder? Because if you give them any ammo, guess what? They're going to load their coffers and they're going to save them for a rainy day and use that ammo on LGBTQ, on Second Amendment rights, to strip you of everything. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, when did we start putting expiration dates on wars? You see what I'm saying? How about growing up America? It's a very fluid situation, as they say.
Right.
And in the end, it's good for you, unless you don't believe that. So what do you give a shit if it takes 6 weeks or 6 months?
Yeah.
And you go, well, Trump promised. Yeah, he has to, because you guys are babies. You want, seriously, American public are like 5th graders. You want everything tied up in a bow. Just like when you watch Law and Order, they solve the crime in an hour.
The white guy.
Of course, it's fucking Wolf, Dick Wolf. Yeah, propaganda. Anyways, but you get my point, growing up.
Gerald's a
You
retard.
want everything with a bow on it, and you people on the right, are you shitting me? This guy hasn't done enough in the last year for you to back him to the hilt. He's taken a bullet in the face and had his life threatened how many times? Give him a little slack.
Yeah.
They won't because of Israel.
Yeah,
That's a really
but
good
here's
point.
my Israel take on that. Did it ever? I love this whole thing that Bibby's playing Trump.
He's cooking.
Bibby's playing Trump like a violin. You ever think that maybe our long-term interests intersect, and we're getting stuff out of it working with Israel?
Yeah.
I mean, if Israel wasn't even in it, the Iranians would still be maniacs and threaten to kill us.
Yeah.
Because they're Islamic, they want to take over the world. That's their long-term goal.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So even if Israel wasn't there, we're going to have to deal with them at some time. So why not deal with them when you have somebody on your side like Israel for now?
All right, now that his rant's over, I will say, as far as getting things out of it when it comes to Israel, look, I'm not a big fan of Bibi. Whatever. But I guess you could call me a Zionist. Don't at me, because I think they should exist. Because why wouldn't they be able to exist? But at the same time, as far as getting things out of our alliance with Israel, I want those, like, I know I make fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene for saying Jewish space lasers, but I saw a video. I haven't authenticated it yet, but I think they're real. Just because, and not in the sense that she said, okay, not like that scene from Invincible where they had the satellite with the death laser on it, but I saw them taking down missiles that Iran was shooting at Israel with some kind of laser. I haven't got to check into it beyond just seeing the video a couple of times, but I want that. Speaking of being a 5th grader, I want that. I want the space laser thing because it looks cool if it works and doesn't tear a massive hole in the ozone. But yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And then if Israel, it turns out that they weren't trying to f us, we take care of them.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
I heard an interesting theory.
Yeah, you just did. That's from me. I didn't read it. I didn't fucking get it off the website.
Hold on. Real quick. When it comes to shit like this,
If we're going to condemn folks, there's no Somali folks in the Epstein files. Continues to tell lies.
the Epstein files is not the only source of bad people. I'm so sick of people saying, look, and if you want to say that something that Trump's doing is a smokescreen from the Epstein files, sure. But the fact that you're doing the same thing that people did with Palestine, how can you talk about this when there's literally a genocide happening? First of all, pretendicide. Secondly, I'm not saying people didn't die. I'm saying it wasn't a genocide. If it was a genocide, Israel has the technology to commit said genocide without even flinching. So, no. Especially, why would they do targeted strikes, this and that, if they were really out for mass casualties. On the other hand, October 7th. But but stop saying this. We can talk about two things at the same time, okay? We can talk about the Epstein files, and we can talk about the Somali fraud, alleged Somali fraud. Okay, this is not an argument, all right? This is not an argument. It drives me crazy when people say, oh, why are you talking about this when you should be talking about this? We can talk about both things, okay? Like, why are you talking about this in this hearing when we're talking about Somalians and the fraud, or the rape gangs, or the grooming gangs, or whatever you want to call them, or the fake daycares, or any of this other stuff? Why are you talking about anything else besides what we're here to talk about? Sure. For me, that's a smokescreen. That's you trying to be like, oh, no, stop focusing on what I'm actually doing. Let's go talk about the Epstein files. We can talk about both things. Sorry, I know I said it more than once, probably like 3-4 times, but it drives me nuts.
It's not the Jews have an interest. The myth out there is only the Jews have an interest. I go, what was since when? Since when do only the Jews?
Right.
That's the. And I don't think we should be doing Israel's bidding. I completely agree with you.
I agree with that, too.
At this point in time, there's no evidence to suggest we are.
That's how.
Yeah. No, it's a bang on. We're going to clip that. That was.
Please. Maybe I'll put it on my show.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Josh. What were we going to say?
Oh, the interesting theory I heard was that there's a possibility that Trump knew that Netanyahu was planning to possibly send a nuke towards Iran.
That's right.
And the action of, hey, let's do this together, and let's hit. No, don't do that. It might have been something that saved, a real nuclear fallout or war between Israel and other people.
I want to have this conversation with you. We'll take it during chat. Do you accept? I do believe in transparency with the administration as far as $500 billion a year in fraud, illegal immigration, SNAP, EBT, Social Security. But I do accept that militarily there will be information that cannot be given to me. Do you agree with that, or do you think that makes someone a lackey or a patsy?
Or a bootlicker? I don't think so.
That's what a lot of people saying.
It's a good point.
I do accept that, and you can go back to me in 2009 saying that. That's not new.
Yeah, some military operations, the guy who works at Lowe's doesn't need to know.
Right. Yeah.
Just let me know if I need a 4x4 or a 2x4.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to build a porch?
Yeah. Let's get Ilhan Omar's thoughts on this.
No.
She'd just be calling her brother, get out now.
She's still in the country.
I can't believe that. Yeah.
I'm gonna run into
So here's the best information that we do have, and this administration has been, I will say, in communicating on this war far better. Certainly, Marco Rubio, the White House comms team, didn't do well in how they clipped it.
No.
The Secretary of War.
And that's one thing. Love this administration or hate them. The people in charge of their social media accounts and clipping and all that shit are horrible, or really, really good and working for the other guy. But yeah, if you watch the whole video on a lot of these things, it's like, oh, well, why didn't they put that out?
I keep wanting to say Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Hey, one other thing too. You notice no one's calling him a Fox News morning host anymore? You know why? Because he's really good at killing people.
Yeah.
He's an artist. Some paint with watercolors, pastels. His is death.
Yeah, where's his experience? He doesn't have any experience.
After watching.
They are still bringing up his stupid tattoos. Personally, I don't care. You can't be for that Maine governor who has an actual Nazi tattoo versus, what was it, the Iron Cross or something, whatever that one tattoo is, or there's one that says it's a word, it's a Islamic word that means someone who doesn't follow Allah. And yes, I know for people who aren't really religious, Allah does just mean God. But if you're in these religions, they mean two different things, apparently. Even though they all come from the same original source material up to a certain chapter.
Him, I wouldn't get in a fight with Steve Ducey.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah. You just said screw around. You find out You look like a
Just random fact, real quick. The butt birth rhino from Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls is expected to sell in auction for anywhere between $4,000 and $8,000. Why would you want to buy a fake mechanical rhino with a giant gaping asshole? You know what? Don't answer that question.
Jackson Pollock painting by the end of it. That's Pete Hegseth. No one's calling him Fox News morning host anymore. But they move the goalposts and so many people go squirrel and you chase it around. So the best indicator we have as to the plans of this war, what missions, to which missions are we tethered? This Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has made it pretty damn clear. Here's an update that if we are all American, look, wherever you line up on the action taking place, these are tidings of great joy.
I liken Iran's predicament to a football team who scripted the first 20 plays of a
Oh
game.
boy.
The team knew what plays to run because their first few drives were scripted. But now that the game has started and the blitz is on, they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays. Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor.
And I will say one thing that was pretty dope in my eyes. He killed the Ayatollah, and then when the bosses of that regime came together to vote for the new Ayatollah or whatever, the new supreme leader. Not an election, a democratic election, but for just the bad guys to vote on who will be the next dictator of themselves. That place got blown up too. You know, I mean, that's some 1980s action movie shit.
Dead, missing, or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room.
I mean, I would be too after that. I'm not gonna lie.
Officers enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more. Built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf.
Damn.
Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated. Pick your adjective.
I love it. And then he went on to look. There are some pretty strong indicators. Some would call them positive trends. We have complete and total control of the sky.
I mean, that's not really an adjective.
Detailed how that came to be.
In a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders. Looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it.
And I should also mention, like in many
Yeah.
They're also dropping propaganda leaflets. There you go.
What the fuck?
Some positive news.
Yeah, some positive.
And for those who don't know, finding and fixing was the thing this morning. Fixing means stopping their maneuvers.
Yes.
It means that they are unable to move. They are in place. They're unable to attack. Unable to move. So if you don't know what that meant,
Yeah, not like repairing.
This is also why this,
yeah.
This is something too that's important. If you believe that there's any type of threat the United States faces, okay, the language that in a regime like the Islamic Republic, they only speak one: power. These people are willing to die, right? They're suicidal maniacs. They're not willing to be embarrassed. That's a far scarier prospect to them. So mocking them mercilessly and talking about how impotent and powerless they are, that is important. And there are more numbers, by the way. Check the references. Link in the description as we do every show. Let's look at their ballistic missile launch rate. On Saturday, it was 350. Sunday, 175. Monday, about 120. Tuesday, 50. Some would say that's a consistent trend. Drones are down about 73%.
Yeah.
They should go to hymns.com.
Jesus. And I will say, look, I make fun of every religion. I don't care. if I have something funny to say, or if you do something silly or retarded, I'm going to make a note of that. And I'm going to embarrass you. It's going to happen. But just know, unless you're these guys talking about the extremists of any religion, I don't really mean nothing by it. I mean, everybody believes in silly shit, but I'm not saying religion in particular is silly necessarily. Just saying, but everybody has their beliefs. We'll say, if someone making fun of something that you believe in offends you to that level, then you're embarrassed by it. It's the only reason I get offended by things. Growing up, I got offended because people made fun of my handicapped dad. It's because I was embarrassed by it. And then I realized how hilarious it was when he went on his mental tirades. It was hilarious. I got past it. And I mean, and then sometimes, like when he died, I got all of my feelings again, of course. But no, that's the only way that you get upset by someone making fun of your belief is because you're either embarrassed by it or you take it far too seriously. But either way, just let it roll off your shoulder. People are going to talk about you till the day you die. I'm going to talk about you till the day you die. And I'm sure people out there would talk about me till the day they die. I hear about it all the time. People I haven't seen in 20, 25 years. Still talking shit. They haven't moved past it. I hear about it from other people who still live around these people. And I'm just like, huh? Who? Oh, that motherfucker? How's he doing? Divorced? Lost everything? Working an even worse job than when we were 20? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Someone get some blue juice.
Anyway, real quick. This is a game I will be playing as soon as it comes out. It's called Karen.
Sorry, we're all out of half and half.
Can only do an exchange.
No, breadsticks are extra. I'm sorry, ma'am. That's our policy.
Blah, 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 blah. This looks amazing. The ultimate Karen meltdown. Blah, 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 blah. This is absolutely amazing. Wait till you see the comments. And it's always the most hateful people you'll ever meet who have things like live, laugh, love posted. Yeah, it's usually a smokescreen. People who buy signs, if they buy funny or sarcastic signs, normally they just want to make people laugh or want themselves to laugh or want you to get pissed off. People who buy things like live, laugh, love, it's projecting an image over. It's a facade. It's a facade. It's not real for the most part. I love how she just looks like an irate minion. But my God, the comment section on this. Look, white women, white people, listen to me for a second. As I said earlier, two things can be true at once. Yes, Karens are a thing, but so are Keishas, or however you want to call them. Okay, you can call them Shaniquas, I call them Keishas. Yes, there are Keishas like this. I know a lot of y'all don't like saying Keisha because you got a girl named Keisha, and Keisha be with it. But, sorry. But there's, okay, this one's funny. Because this one actually went through some effort. The rest of these just showed black people, like, breaking shit and looting. Like, yes, this is whitewash. Like, come on, guys. You can admit, don't be one of those people who can't admit when people who look like you or from a certain financial class or whatever act a certain way. Suburban white chicks with that haircut in particular, and yes, usually a bit on the hefty side. They're hefty. They're not wimpy. Know your rights, accuse everyone, request manager, escalate authorities, neglect reason. Yo, that one. Okay, yeah, saving that shit. Good on you, Flux. Like, yes, the rest of these... Come on now. Yo, State of Emergency was a fun game. You couldn't really play it that much, but a few playthroughs. It was pretty fun. You never really played through it. You just kind of went and started tearing up that mall in the first scene.
Well, that's
yeah.
Well,
the local flair.
Jeez, Gerald, that's inappropriate.
That is inappropriate.
These are people at war.
Yeah, but Porker goes great.
Descriptive.
Now, look, that's not to say, and this is the thing too, where people will say, of course, we don't want boots on the ground. We don't want Americans to die. No one wants Americans to die. And by the way, I do believe that even when Barack Obama had to make this, I think he was the worst president possibly ever. I don't think that he wanted Americans to die when he took military action. I don't think that any commander-in-chief wants that. But I will say, there has been tremendous care taken with this administration to mitigate loss of life in a way that is unprecedented. It doesn't mean that those who have lost their life, I'm not going to do what Megyn Kelly or what that military wife did and say that their lives were lost in vain or in service of Israel. We've lost 6 service members as of the time of this broadcast, including, and I want to make sure I get their names right, Sergeant First Class Nicole M. Amore from Minnesota, Sergeant First Class Noah L. Tejans of Nebraska, Sergeant Declan Cody of Iowa, Captain Cody A. Cork of Florida. 2 have not been named as of the showtime. We don't want to leave anyone out. Thank you for your service. And I have no idea if these people supported this action. Stats would probably say that they did. I have no idea how they voted.
Stats would probably say that they supported their duty.
Yes.
Yes.
They might not support every war. We don't know everything.
No, we don't know everything.
Especially them, they're doing it before you even find out about it. They support what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You take your oath. Be aware things are going to come up that
Yeah.
you can't control, but you're in a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And you may not like that you have to go or whatever, but usually, and I can speak to this, I hated being deployed. But when I came back, it wasn't the same. I don't know if it was just because I was gone or I got used to being over there or what, but it was, yeah. Or the money. The money was good too, or at least better than what I was making regular. But it's a whole thing. You'll hear soldiers say this all the time. The hardest thing is to go, but it's also hard to come back.
And most of them
Sometimes you don't, depending on what your MOS
I
is.
don't care what their views were. They gave, I think we should all be able, if we want to find common ground, they gave their life in their duty to this country. That's any war. That's any military conflict, whether I agree with it or not. You want to get me on the, these troops are losing their lives meaninglessly bandwagon? That's never going to happen. If that convinces you that I'm a paid shield for Israel and you think I'm being paid $7,000 to honor the fallen, whatever. It's just not going to be a talking point here. I think we should stop funding Israel in the way that we do. I think that Israel should fight their own wars, and I think that Iran is run by lunatics and a threat to the Western world. Why? Because they said so. So, again, going back to, for me, because I understand where you guys are coming from, and I understand that people, for some reason people think everything is bleak, and it's not. 3 months. Let's come back after 3 months. After 3 months and see where we are. Let's see if this escalates. Let's see if it's an outlier like Iraq, or if it's in line with the other conflicts that we discussed, like Grenada, like Panama, like Desert Storm. After 3 months, then we can, and that'd be a drop in the bucket, by the way, as far as when we're talking about spending. People say, why can't we do this here? And I get it. We need to fix things here at home. I think Donald Trump's doing a much better job than
100%.
Than anyone could. Yeah. Certainly as far as deportations, secured border, when we're looking at actually having requirements, work requirements for social services, when we're actually getting people to pay their fair share in NATO. I think there's a lot of good freedom of speech. 2 genders, that's a big change. Yeah. As far as military, let's give it 3 months. And let's come back. And the reason that I'm putting, I agree
Like I said, 3 months. I hadn't watched this before, but 3 months.
Myself on the hook, because the people telling you that all is lost and that you shouldn't show up for midterms and that you should impeach Donald Trump, they hold themselves to no accountability.
Always show up. If you care, show up. If you don't show up, then you don't care as much as you claim to.
You may be one of the 6 million or so subscribers.
But now look, and I say this all the time, and people who are watching the show regularly, all two of you, are probably sick of hearing me say it. But like I said, if you care, then pay attention. If you don't pay attention, then you don't really care. Stop talking. You're doing it for clout. You're not doing it for anything else. It's all self-aggrandizement. It's all you trying to fit in. Or it's you felt powerless the whole time, and joining a side that's as militant as some of this shit you see on TV, it makes you feel powerful. But if all you want to do is achieve power, it's not about being powerless. And it's not about being oppressed, even. Because you would do the exact same thing if you were in the situation. If that's the case, then maybe you should think about things a little more. But if you would do the exact same thing to people who have power over you, if you were in that situation, then you're nothing more than that. You were just born in a different situation. You're a horrible person. You're exactly like the people who you are out against, and the only thing that separates you is money. And for that, I would say that the only thing keeping you from being that yourself is jealousy. You cannot control your jealousy enough to have a regular conversation, a regular job, or you're just doing it because you're getting paid. I know some folks that are doing these things because they're getting paid. Which I can understand, but at the same time, if you're getting paid to do these things have effects on, especially young people. Young people are stupid. As someone who was also a young person once, I was fucking retarded. And I did a lot of stupid, heinous stuff. Not heinous, but like stuff that I regret, or some stuff that I didn't even realize I was doing just because I was in a bad place or I didn't like my economic standing. And instead of doing something about that, I was pissed off all the time. Never really did anything. And then I finally started doing stuff, and then people would see to it that that I get drugged down to a different situation. But anyway, I'm just gonna go off on another tangent if I don't stop here. But look, just understand yourself and understand why certain things happen. Understanding is what we should all strive for. Understand your enemies. Understand people you perceive as enemies. And more importantly, understand those people who you think are not your enemies. Because one day you might look around and find everybody around you is unrecognizable. It's called an epiphany. Either that or Asperger's. But that being said, y'all have a fantastic day. Get on out there and be somebody. Have a great day. I got to get out of here. But until tomorrow, I've been Alfie.